The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 342. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a phenomenal lady on the show today. She teaches executives and high achievers how to fall in love and stay in love, and I'm really excited to have her on today to share her story and tips about self-confidence. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Sindy V. Kang. Cindy, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to our listeners.
Yes, Sheena, thank you so much for having me on your show, and I'm very excited to be speaking with you today. So a little bit about myself. I teach executive and high achiever how to fall in love and stay in love. So, and when I'm talking about that, we're talking about masculine and feminine energy. And if you ever heard the theory of the yin and yang, so that's the quantum physics of the Chinese. And I go by that energy. So who you attract based on how you speak and sound and look, that's who you're going to attract out there in love and in person as well. So they say if your business life is a hot mess, so is your sex life.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And Cindy, what's your cultural background?
So my culture background, I'm Asian descent. So I'm also born here and actually in Canada, in Toronto. And my mom is half Chinese and half Korean, and my dad's half Vietnamese and half French. So that's me here today.
Thanks for sharing that, Cindy. And what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
This is one of my quotes, and it's one of my favorite, and it actually says, most high achievers spend their life chasing success, yet they don't realize success without love is ultimate failure in love.
Thanks. That's a great quote. I always think, love is such a strong component of everything, and it's not just like relationship between a boy and a girl, just in every aspect of your life. So I really love that quote that you mentioned. And, in your own words, how would you define self-confidence?
That's a really good one. Today, in today's society, we want to have equal pay, equal position, equal everything in our job. And that's great. There's nothing wrong with that because I have learned that, especially I'm a masculine woman, naturally born as a masculine woman. And I have learned that throughout my process that equality in a relationship does not work. And the reason why it doesn't work is because I want, and that's fine when you're friends, but when in a romantic relationship, one of them needs to be yin and one of them needs to be yang. And that's just the equal quantum physics. And because I'm a natural yang, which is more of a masculine energy, I'm not saying I'm a man or nothing wrong with my hormone, I'm just naturally like a tomboy, right? I grew up like a tomboy. And being confident is about how you speak and how you carry in the workplace. And that's totally fine. But in a relationship, it's also balancing back in my yin, which is my feminine body and my feminine energy, that I actually can feel cherished. So coming back to the question self-confident is learning how to balance between the masculine energy and the feminine energy. So my question to a lot of your audience today, do you want to be cherished first or respected second? Or do you want to be respected first and cherished second? And that's actually in a relationship. And I was able to be able to balance between both.
Thanks for sharing that. And I like, that definition that you mentioned, you just balancing off, because we tend to do one thing and we kind of go overboard, and then when we go overboard we get tired out easily, we get disappointed, we get that's when we have all these self-confidence issues, thinking, am I good enough, did I do something wrong, what else do I have to do? And when we learn to have a balance of everything, it just makes sense, and you don't have to explain it, it just kind of just happens. So I really like that definition that you mentioned. And Cindy, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
So my life as before I self-discover who I was, and that's actually, I actually discovered myself through spirituality. It wasn't through taking courses, it was through spirituality. It's just sitting through my hard emotion and just really digging through the rough time and ask myself, why is this happening? And do I ever want to be in this position? So my life before I became who I am today was I'm actually a forensic accountant. So I was considered to be wanting to run as a partner in a firm, and I was in a very men field. It's a very masculine field. I work with lawyers. I'm surrounded by judge or police officer. It's a very male dominant career that I had. And I work over 70 hours because I'm a high achiever. And any designation that I wanted in front of me, I go and get it. I put all the hours, and it didn't matter if I was in a relationship or not in a relationship. And majority of the time, I can be honest with you, I might be an attractive woman, but I actually sound like a man. So because I worked in the man field, and I actually scared off a lot of men. So I might qualify for look-wise, but I didn't qualify for as a feminine female kind of speaking skills and sounding like them, because I always wanted to compete with them. And they wanted to cherish me first, so they want to look for a woman who wants to be cherished, then respected. And so that was my life, and I got very sick because I was in the overdoing mode, which has caused me to become more testosterone-based and cortisol-based, if anybody remember that in biology. So that just means that I had a lot of stress in my life, and I learned through a lot of the readings material, especially medical reading materials, that I could develop cancer, and I just didn't want to be in that place anymore where I have to size up with a man anymore. I just need to learn how to balance both, and I didn't know. So I actually reached out to coaches, especially having a coach, a therapist, to offset some of these energy, that masculine, and just learn how to be more feminine, and learn how to just sit through my feelings and push through my feeling without alcohol, drugs, or anything like that. So acknowledging my gut feeling, and that's such an powerful thing that I have learned about myself, that I'm very psychic, or I'm very intuitive in a way, like I can actually be able to feel certain things, but because I offset it, and obviously being a masculine role, I always thought that being logical is the right way, but sometimes if you have a gut feeling there's something wrong, you should never override it, and every time you override it, it creates cortisol in your bloodstream. And I just made that conscious decision that I wanted to be more feminine and teach people how to balance between the both masculine and feminine. That's how I became who I am today.
Thanks for sharing that. And, I love how you mentioned that, especially, growing up as an Asian woman, it's like we've always been taught to hide our feelings, to always get straight A's. I mean, if we get a 90, our parents would be like, why didn't you get 100?
Yes.
Not realizing just to celebrate getting a 90%. And I think that's why so many people, or so many women out there, are struggling, because they feel like they have to be more and do more when they can just be themselves and let your feelings out. Like if you're having a bad day and you just feel like watching Netflix all day, then that's not a problem.
Yeah.
You just have to learn when to just get back up and keep going. And I really love that you mentioned that you were such a high achiever to the point that you got sick from it, because it was just like never ending for you until you realize that everything comes with a balance, masculine, feminine energy. And it's great because nobody really talks about this kind of stuff. And, because of that, what's your life been like now?
So after my aha moment, and I realized that, I didn't want to die. And because I decided to drop all my designation, it's just, I learned about what power means, and power is actually an illusion. So being a high achiever and all these fancy title is an illusion. It's not real, because if they strip that all away from you, who are you at the end of the day? So I had to ask myself who I was and what do I really have a passion for. And I'm driven by passion, the things that I do. And I decided to help a lot of masculine and feminine people to find out what that might look like. And here's a funny story about the whole aha moment I had was, I was so masculine that I ended up attracting a Peter Pan. And if you guys remember the story about Peter Pan and Wendy, so Peter Pan, who's actually always is considered to be a younger person or personality, and they never want to grow up. So I dated a lot of those bad boys guy that always need a mama figure that always kind of help him out around the place and pay his bill. And I actually pay a lot of the guys that I actually dated. I actually end up paying a lot of the bills, like rent and food and dates and everything. And I just didn't want to be in that role. And I'm so happy today that I am in a successful relationship where that energy is actually reversed. So I was able to attract a man that can cherish me first and respect it second. And it's fine when I go to work, I need to be respected first and cherished second, because that's just part of the workforce. But I learned how to step back, and I feel like I'm more taken care of, and I feel less resentful. Before, I was very resentful because all the things I did for my ex-partner, I was very unhappy with that. And then not a lot of people are aware of that, aha moment or what kind of relationship they want. And I realized the path that I want and the right fit, I didn't have a choice, or I didn't see the path that I had before. And, now I got the path that I wanted, and I'm so much more happier, more fulfillment, and more excited about life in general, and just having a companionship that actually can last longer than 3 years, because a lot of relationships do not last longer than 3 years. Or, you hear of the 7-year itch where we want to move on. But I actually have a formula which is called the 3C, which is cause a relationship lasted longer than 3 years. So chemistry, compatibility, and communication. And those are the 3 things that I was successfully to have in my own relationship. And I'm here today to spread the words out there.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And, Sindy, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey of self-confidence. What would be that one tip you would give to her?
The one tip that I would ever give for any woman is learn how to love yourself first, and learn how to cherish your feelings first. If you want to be cherished first, then respected. Yeah, because it's so important. So many women kind of, feel like the lack of need or feel the abandonment of a man or a mom or a figure. It's learning how to love yourself first, and that means learning how to take care of your own feelings, and not sabotaging your feeling or numbing your feeling or trying to do good to feel good. That's a really big takeaway today. If any women are out there, just stop trying to do good to feel good.
So that's a great tip that you mentioned. And, loving yourself first is really like the key, especially if you want to know what you want in a relationship, or not just between, man, woman, whether it's family, friends, you attract how you feel and who you are and what you want. So, I really love that tip that you mentioned. And if our listeners wanted to get to know a little bit more about you and what you do, is there any links or social media profiles we can connect with?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is www.sindy, so with an S, and vking.com. And my social media is actually Ask Sindy King. So, and I'm on YouTube. I have Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and LinkedIn. You can all contact me through there as well. And if you're interested in learning about your life path and having a discovery, please do visit my website.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Sindy, you can also head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Sindy's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I just want to thank Sindy for taking the time today to share her story and tips with us on self-confidence. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on your show, and I hope that I inspire a lot of your female audience as well.
Not a problem. I mean, it was an honor having you on, and I'm sure the listeners loved what you shared today. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com to check out cool resources, blog articles, show recaps, and so much more. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.